Here's my latest desk setup powered by the M2 Ultra Mac Studio. It's a powerful desktop computer that comes with just a power cable and the computer itself, so having a good monitor is an absolute must. I'm picky when it comes to displays. I need at least a 4K resolution with excellent color accuracy, ideally OLED, and pair that all with a high refresh rate. And this is why I initially went with the LG 42C2 OLED, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved it until it died. After saying goodbye to the LG C2, I was forced to rethink my entire setup, and while this was frustrating, it turned into an opportunity for a major revamp, and honestly, I'm loving the new setup even more. But this led me to weeks of research trying to find the best screen for my needs that would match or top the image quality of the C2 OLED. After watching many YouTube videos and reading articles and comparing tons of different monitors, all signs pointed to this. This is the LG 32-inch UltraGear OLED dual mode 4K UHD 240Hz or FHD 480Hz 0.03 millisecond G-Sync compatible gaming monitor with Pixel sound, codename 32GS95UE. I am never going to say that again. What is with monitors and their crazy names? Before diving into the display specs and my overall experience, I gotta get it set up at my desk setup. So if you're curious what it's like having this monitor with the built-in stand, here is a quick shot of it. It's a decent stand. It's primarily made out of plastic, but I'm never going to use it, so I don't really care. And since I don't have my monitor up yet, I figured I'd show you guys how I do my cables, essentially cable manage. So I have one hole right here behind the wall. This would be behind the monitor. This would do like my HDMI cable, my Philips Hue play bars, the power cable to the monitor. Then I also have this Logitech MX Master 3 dongle. Then everything connects diagonally down into another hole in the wall, and this is like right under the plug, so that's a pretty convenient spot. And then these cables run up to like my speakers, my Thunderbolt 4 dock, and basically anything I need to connect to this way. And then my Mac Studio is directly behind the wall, so it's like literally behind the wall. These cables run down into it, those cables run diagonally into it. That's essentially how I do my cable management. Alright, now that the monitor is set up and the desk is in order, let's get into the actual display specs. But instead of me telling you and taking 100 different takes, because I'm going to screw it up so many times, I'm actually going to let an AI voiceover handle this for us. And how I'm actually doing that is thanks to the sponsor of this video, Motion Array. If you're in need of high quality digital assets like music, sound effects, footage, motion templates, graphics, basically everything to do with videos, Motion Array has everything all in one spot. Plus, with their new AI voiceover feature, you can create realistic voices for your video projects in just seconds by choosing the voice that fits your needs, typing in your script into the text box, selecting the language, and adjusting the speed and emotion of the voice. Once you've dialed in a voice you like, click generate. In just a few seconds, you'll have your very own personal voiceover just like this one.
The 32 inches LG UltraGear OLED dual mode monitor offers 4K at 240 Hz or FHD at 480 Hz with 0.03 ms response time for ultra smooth gaming.
It features NVIDIA G-Sync, AMD FreeSync, 98.5% coverage of the DCI-P 3-color gamut, HDR True Black 400, and a 1,500,000 to 1 contrast ratio.
With Pixel Sound, Dynamic Action Sync, Black Stabilizer, and Crosshair, it's ideal for both gamers and creators seeking speed and perfect visuals.
I mean, I seriously couldn't have said that better myself. And if you're looking to elevate your videos, then hit the first link in the description. And huge thanks to Motion Array for sponsoring this video. The LG Dual Mode OLED combines productivity with incredible gaming features, and you may think that high refresh rates are just for gamers, but when it comes to productivity, they're actually a game changer. Without realizing it, high refresh rates make me faster at smaller movements, which can add up tremendously over time. I found that it makes micro adjustments super easy to make. Everything seems to respond faster, which is helpful when editing small objects in Affinity Designer, scrubbing and trimming clips in Final Cut Pro, and the smoothness just gives me more control and confidence in my micro adjustments. With this monitor, you can go up to 240 Hz, but the only thing is that if you want to get that full 4K at 240 Hz, you need to use either HDMI or DisplayPort, because that's all this monitor ships with. This doesn't personally bother me because the Mac Studio has HDMI 2.1 on board, but I find it odd that this is a 2024 monitor and it lacks USB-C or Thunderbolt. Maybe it's because you need to transmit over 40 gigabits per second. I'm really not too sure, but if you are using a Mac, then you're going to want to make sure that you have either an M2 Pro, Max, or Ultra, and then anything newer, like a new version of those chips, so M3, eventually M4, and so on, because all of those models ship with HDMI 2.1 on board. This isn't just thanks to the refresh rate, as this monitor does ship with a 0.03 millisecond response time, and that just essentially means that there's going to be like zero lag or any sort of stuttering, at least to the naked eye, and it almost kind of feels like this monitor is almost like one step ahead of you. In terms of its color performance, this monitor excels. The color accuracy out of the box is almost perfect, honestly so much better than my LG C2 was. I haven't felt the need to calibrate it, and the colors are fairly close to my iPhone or iPad display, which also feature OLED. Needless to say, I feel comfortable editing my 10-bit 422 footage that comes out of my Sony FX30, and I can just rely on the screen to show me accurate results while I'm making color adjustments, whether it's in video or photo or any of my design work. The best settings for me when it comes to editing pictures and videos and just overall matching other Apple displays is vivid in the game mode with either 89 or 100% brightness, peak brightness turned off, and the color temperature set to medium. I might still play around with these settings a little bit more, but for now, everything feels spot on. The main highlight of this monitor is the 480 Hz mode activated with a simple button press, and this is beyond cool. Like, the fact that with just one click you can cut your resolution and double your refresh rate is pretty insane. But as you might have already guessed, I am not much of a gamer, so I will probably never use this mode, as 1080p at 32 inches on a Mac it just doesn't look good. In this mode, I did run a few games that I enjoy playing, nothing too crazy, just some casual games, and it was extremely smooth and a great experience. So if you are a gamer, this is basically like having two monitors within one. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Connor, why even bother getting this monitor in the first place if you're not going to use the main highlighting feature, and especially because there are other options out there for much less money? And the simple answer to that is just the design. I think at the moment, LG is the only brand offering a fully edge-to-edge bezel-less display like this. I mean, yes, there are thin black borders around all the sides, but it doesn't have a thick chin bezel, which seems to be pretty common on every other gaming monitor nowadays. There's also no obvious gamer branding or flashing lights. It's just so clean. It looks like a Pro Display XDR or a Studio Display if you look at it head on. It really delivers that clean and minimal design that is almost impossible to find in any other monitors with the same type of specs. Another major reason why I chose this screen is its impressive PPI. According to the specs, it boasts 140 pixels per inch, and let me tell you, that has been the biggest upgrade since the LG C2 OLED. Not being able to discern individual pixels feels like a real luxury now. I know LG uses like a different type of pixel layout and panel type, but honestly, I'm not too sure what it means or what it does. I just know that text is super sharp and crisp, and that alone makes this a worthwhile upgrade for me. Now, the only downside, and this really kind of depends on your perspective of this, is the matte coating. Personally, in my opinion, I feel like OLED should always be glossy just because it kind of enhances the display and really makes like the colors pop a little bit more. But this isn't a productivity and creativity focused monitor, so I kind of find it hard to complain from that angle. I know a lot of gamers do like having matte screens and matte coatings on them, and the matte coating is really good. Like, I wouldn't say it ruins the experience, but I really just wish there was at least a glossy option, because I feel like a glossy version of this monitor would just look so good. Something I initially missed in my first use case with this monitor were the speakers, and I think that's just because like most built-in speakers and monitors are like borderline unusable, but I did quickly switch over to them, and I mean, I gotta say, they're actually kind of good. Now that you've seen the monitor, let me give you a quick, fully completed tour of my desk setup. Starting off with the Kanto Tuck bookshelf monitors, these speakers have been with me the longest, and not only do they sound incredible, but they also look great too. Beneath the monitor is my Grove made desk shelf, which really ties everything in together, and yeah, I know the Magic Keyboard placement might look a little off, but trust me, it's all about quick access to Touch ID. Speaking of peripherals, let's move down to them. On the far left, I have the Apple Magic trackpad neatly tucked into the Grove made trackpad holder. For the keyboard, I'm using the Sine 65 mechanical keyboard from Wind Studios, and that's paired with a set of Keychron keycaps with a few custom ones as well. And yes, I do use it wired, as I just find that it works better this way. Next to that, I have the trusty Logitech MX Master 3 mouse. This thing has been around just as long as the speakers, and I absolutely love it. It's resting on top of a leather mousepad from Grove made, and then all of my peripherals are sitting on top of a wool felt mat also from Grove made. A bit off to the right, you'll see my M4 13-inch iPad Pro sitting on top of a stand from QXU. Now, this stand is actually one of my favorites, and if you've been here for a while, you already know how much I love the iPad Pro. Right under that, and also under the desk, I have the CaliDigit TS4 Thunderbolt 4 dock. I mainly use this as a glorified SD card reader, but it's super handy whenever I need to connect extra devices to my Mac Studio. Speaking of that, I am using the M2 Ultra Mac Studio as my main machine. You've probably heard me talk about it before. It's an absolute beast, and it just powers everything that I do. For decor, on the far left, I have a fake plant, which I honestly don't really remember where I got it from. But speaking of greenery, I also have this like little garden, kind of like wax warmer that's under my desk shelf. And then on the far right of my desk shelf under it as well, I just have two little fake plants to add in more greenery. On top of the desk shelf itself, on the left side, I have a miniature black pearl ship from the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is one of my favorite movie franchises of all time. On the right side of the desk shelf, kind of tying into that, I have a collection of seashells, which I've actually gathered over a couple of years, like from family vacation stuff, so it really kind of adds a nice personal touch. As for lighting, everything is from Philips Hue. I got two sets, so 4 in total of the Philips Hue play bars. They just kind of act like a light strip on the back of my, I mean, you guys already saw me set them up. And then in the far left side of my desk, I do have the Philips Hue floor lamp as well. And all my lights in my setup space are controlled via Apple HomeKit, which just makes it super convenient. Now for the desk itself, it is a standing desk from Rise Desk, and I absolutely love it. Rise Desk makes some incredible products. The quality is always amazing, and they're also based in Canada, which is pretty cool. Now, I know it is a standing desk, and I never use it as a standing desk, but it's really just the size and just the build quality that makes it worth using. Finally, for the chair, I'm using the famous Herman Miller Aeron. I'm sure you've seen or heard of it before. It was featured in my last desk setup like upgrade video. It's my most recent pickup. I'm actually pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's my most recent pickup, and it's just so comfortable. It's one of the best, if not the best, chairs you can get for your desk setup. So yeah, there's that. And under the desk, like kind of off to the side right there, I have the autonomous filing cabinet drawer. Honestly, I don't store too much in there anymore. It really just kind of helps hide the cables, but I also feel like it just kind of ties everything together. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for the setup tour. And then of course, the incredible monitor with the 4K resolution, high refresh rate, low input lag, amazing color accuracy. And then of course, it just being OLED. This is such a great option for a Mac. I really do think that pairing a Mac with a gaming monitor is a great choice, especially if you're someone who likes to take advantage of high refresh rates. And if you also happen to be a gamer, this is a great option as it does have both modes. You have like a productivity and like creativity like type of mode with the 4K 240. And then if you want to game, you can just switch it to 1080p at 480 Hertz. Such a crazy option that you can do that in one monitor. But yeah, definitely a great option if you're on the market for it. I'm extremely happy with this choice. It was kind of expensive. Like this thing was like 1,800 bucks Canadian. A little expensive, but I'm extremely happy with it, and it's definitely gonna live at my setup and at my desk for a very long time. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of this monitor in the comment section down below, and if you would get a gaming monitor for your Mac setup. And if you guys are interested in anything in my setup or the monitor, it will all be linked in the description. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a like and share it to a friend. And if you like Apple tech or desk setup related content, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, peace.